Hi there, this is Dada, and welcome to the TNAIW Go Power Rankings show. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First, to my right, he is the star of the show. He allegedly has no relation to our new Impact World Champion, Steve Maclin, the one and only Burt Maclin.
Well, I'm pretty much an honorary Macklin. I should, I'm president of the fan club street team. I was with them since day one. So I'm expecting some sort of swag in the mail. You know what I mean? I deserve something, but.
Exactly. All right, and to my left, he is the godfather of the Power Rankings, the one and only Lucha, 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 Lucha. Alrighty, you guys, we just came off the heels of an incredible pay-per-view Rebellion. So as you guys know, the top 10 is always a little wonky after pay-per-views because, they're incorporating the Go Home show and, of course, the pay-per-view. So who do you guys think made the top 10 this week?
You go first, Lucha.
All the champions. All the champions. All the gold should be in this top 10. One way or another, there's some positive form of representation on this card of the champions. The new and still champions are all, this should be a very gold heavy top 10.
I agree with you, Lucha. Expecting to see all the champions, current and new, on there. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that you can't not put all the champions on this week's Power Rankings.
Then I'm going to go the other way then and say that, as we know, I think the committee does love people who put in work and almost get the victory. So I do expect to see the members of Time Machine in the countdown. I mean, just because they lost, I think that they easily could have both won their matches. So if they're on here, I don't have a problem with it. And I don't think, and obviously the committee doesn't either. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I think you guys spoke very well when it comes to the Power Rankings. You know what I want to know? Before we move forward, I want to know if the countdown to Rebellion is going to get any love. I mean, people always ignore BTI, so it's going to be very interesting to see if Raj and Shira and the Covenant are both on here. I think the Covenant has a better shot at being at the Power Rankings.
Just based off the fact that they got the straps.
Yes. Alrighty. So, Bert, how does one join the Power Rankings committee?
Yeah, how you do that shit?
Well, if you look up, you'll see something that says Burt Maclin 11 on Burt Maclin 11. All you gotta do is get out on Twitter. Yeah, just look up there. That's all you gotta do. Message me on Twitter.
Alrighty. Well, with that being said, let's play these Power Rankings. Wow, interesting Power Rankings. I have to say, you know what? Let's start with number 9 because Bert, you brought this up. Time Machine, Sabin, Shelley, and Kushida coming in at number 9. Now, as you mentioned, Motor City Machine Guns and Kushida both lost their respective matches at Rebellion. So, is this why you think they are the number 9 spot?
Yeah, just because when you lose and you're part of two of the better matches on the show, I think that goes a long way, and I think that the committee always recognizes that. So then being a number 9 it's totally fine and acceptable in my opinion.
Lucha, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they made the 10. I had them on number 6 on mine personally. So them, yeah, they lost, but like both of y'all said, basically, if you're gonna lose, it's not a bad place to lose and a bad, opponent to lose to. So, and then they've been so hot basically all year since Kushida came back and whatnot. So once they got back as a unit and took advantage of the greatest strategy ever to run the power rankings, yeah, this is a good spot for them.
I agree, and it doesn't surprise me that they're ranked as a trio. They've been being ranked as a trio for a while now. So
yeah, and I had a question for you, since you talked about who was getting some love from BTI. What do you think about Champagne and Shira not making the top 10 here?
Well, not making the top 10. I feel like they did win, and they still technically a part of the show. So I feel like a number 10 spot would have been okay for them. But because there's so much going on at Rebellion, I feel like you have to pick and choose someone to give the boot to. And the majority of the people on this week's Power Rankings, if you notice, they're all the winners except two, number 9 and number 10. Those two numbers are not the winners here. So
that is fair. And but number 10 and number 9 have been the ones with, I guess, some of the most momentum this year. Mm-hmm. So their spot is purely a momentum scenario.
Yes. Why it would have been nice to include Raj and Sarah, since you brought up momentum. I haven't seen much of Champagne, Raj, and Shira on Impact. Maybe they've been on BTI, but I don't watch BTI. So I feel like that kind of hindered them a little bit.
Maybe, but all I know is I can smell what the Raj is cooking.
Now, I do have a question, though. If the results would have been the opposite, if Heath and Rhino would have won, would Heath and Rhino made this week's Power Rankings?
No.
You're that confident? Why are you that confident? Explain your answer, Lucha.
Because the same reason why Jordan and Time Machine are there. Heath and Rhino don't have that momentum. They wouldn't have had that bump. The committee is not too familiar with them enough to put them over Jordan Grace and Time Machine. You know what I'm saying? That's basically the losers of every world title match, from the knockouts, the tag, and the world title. So they're not gonna be there's not too many that are gonna beat them.
I feel you. That's understandable. Yeah. Burt, you got anything else you want to say, or you're?
No, I agree with both of you guys.
Okay. Well, since we're on it, how about number 10, Jordan Grace? This was her big rematch, and originally it was supposed to be against Mickie James, but as we learned on the Go Home show to Rebellion, she was not medically cleared to compete, so it was on one-on-one match. And so I feel like number 10 is the perfect spot for her. Yes, she was in the main event, but she still lost. But she did not go down without a fight. She went down swinging, so I cannot see her being any higher than number 10.
I gave her a lot of respect on mine because I had her at number 5. Because again, momentum, but also a couple of I played into the main event bias a little bit that tends to be a thing with the committee now. I started to play their game, give the main eventers a little more juice. So that's why I put her as high as number 5. So it was crazy to see her at 10, but it's not surprising that she made the 10 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I personally didn't vote for her, but it's almost like in my mind, I just kind of knew that a lot of people would. So because her being there again, her losing takes nothing away from her. I don't walk out of that match thinking to myself, oh, Jordan's buried. No, Jordan at multiple times, they made that match that looked like her and Deanna were completely on the same level, which they are, and which we've been shown that they are. So number 10 is a perfect spot for her.
I definitely do agree with you guys.
Hey, Bert, I got a question for you. How do you feel? Okay, I know how you feel about people being voted on as like units if they're like a stable, like Bullet Club or Time Machine. What are your thoughts on Team Tommy Dreamer and Team Santino being hit in the top 10 like they did?
That one made me angry as soon as, not angry, but I was upset when I was doing the math because they got in Santino's case, they got Joe Henry's bonus points as a champ. So I didn't like that this week. And I go with what the committee's doing as like who they're voting for and how they're grouped. I didn't group them. I grouped them as a whole, but I wasn't really thinking about that. Actually, I did not vote for them, but when the people were, I only saw one person vote for Joe Henry, and everyone else was voting for Team Santino. So
I'm the only one that believed. I believe in Joe Henry. I believe in 252 pounds of pure motivation.
So I think we're gonna have this little, bonus behind the scenes. I think we're gonna have to go and maybe establish a little bit of rules for teams aren't factions. So we might have to kind of establish something like that, because while Time Machine's a faction and you can justify them, Team Santino is not. They teamed one time, and especially like I said, when you have somebody in there who on his own is going to bring points because he's a champion, it's really not fair for Santino just to continue, for that team to get the points, those extra points, in my opinion.
I kind of have to kind of jump up, to kind of piggyback off what Burt is saying. I mean, look, for example, when it was Team Josh Alexander lost, but we didn't group them together. We separated them. That's why I remember this one time, Frankie Kazarian didn't even make the rankings, because even though I think he was on Josh's team, homeboy was just there, and didn't get enough shine. So It's kind of going back to what Burt is saying.
Because I actually voted Joe Hendry 9, Santino 8 separately, as individuals. Like Santino, because he got the pin and he kind of showed out a little bit in this matchup here. So I was impressed with his performance overall. So I had to give him some solo respect. But it was just crazy that they ended up grouped together in their squads.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys agree with Team Dreamer being number 7 and Team Santino being number 6, or would you switch them?
I would switch it.
Ooh, really? Why?
Because not even trying to put it on match quality, not saying the Hardcore War was a better match than the Design versus Team Santino, but the fight was better. If you understand what I'm saying, like them earning the win that they earned versus Team Bully was way more. It had more meat on it than the win that Team Santino got.
Wait, is Santino ahead of Team Dreamer? Is that what you're? Wait,
yes.
I'm confused.
Team Santino's ahead.
Dreamer's team number 7.
Switch them?
Yeah.
I would honestly switch Team Dreamer with the Coven.
Yeah, I completely agree with you switching Team Dreamer with Team Bully, just because, from that match meaning more to I would completely not give a crap about that match, but then Tommy Dreamer comes and gets me crying by cutting this promo that it's like, well, are you serious? Like, I'm going to look like an asshole if I'm not going to root for him and their team.
Wow.
It's like now I'm wanting them to win, and then the fact that the refs didn't let the ref jump Bully, which again,
that was hilarious.
That's a hilarious spot, and then helping Tommy get on the ladder. It's just like the whole complete package of that match. Like, you know what I mean? So I think Team Dreamer should be ahead of Team Santino, and it wasn't, to me. I thought it was a better match. Even though the quality, it's just everything that went into it made it a better match.
And then also too, I have to say, like with Team Santino only got the win because Sami Callihan betrayed the design, which we all saw coming. We all saw that coming. So the shock value wasn't there.
No, it was. I'm sorry, but it was almost like we were waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like it lost in. You know what I mean?
So I would switch them around too. All right, so let's talk about number 5, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, the Covenant, who actually were on the Countdown to Rebellion. They're at number 5. And it's interesting that they're at number 5 because I feel like that's when all the champions start getting ranked. So why do you think out of all the champions, and not accounting Joe Henry, because he got grouped with Team Santino, why do you think that they're at number 5? They're like the lowest ranking champions between everybody else between all the champions that made the power rankings.
At least for me, they're the ones with, and this is kind of a crazy statement when you hear it, they're the ones with the least momentum. They're the champions with the least momentum outside of Joe Hendry. Ace and Bay have been rocking for months. Trey's been rocking for months. Deanna's been rocking for months. Steve Maclin's been rocking. Everybody's been rocking, and the Coven, they're still kind of new, and they just got they got their title defense against the former champs, which holds weight as well, but not as much weight as everybody ahead of them. So this is where they should be. Actually, I had them 4 on mine, with Jordan Grace being number 5, but this is where they should be.
Congratulations to the Coven. I like Taylor Wilde. I'm very, very high on Kylan King, but it's sad that we won't see him in the top 10 anymore, even though they will be champions. And what I mean by that is that unlike the men's tag team division, which is sneaky deep, because Impact is using their scheduling to bring teams in. After this, who are the Coven going to wrestle? I don't think that we're going to see Rosemary and Havoc get another tag team title match. So then, where do they go? Are they going to challenge Savannah? Savannah and Giselle. Giselle's trying to move up to the main event scene. The single scene. So, while I'm very happy that they're number 5, it's rightly deserved. They're the tag team champions. They got a big win on a big stage, on a big show. It just sucks that I don't know where we go from here.
Yeah, and that does. And now that I heard you break that down, it makes sense. Like their wins are going to come against, for lack of a better term, less credible challengers, because the teams they're fighting are basically thrown together at this point.
Well, Impact needs to start doing what they do with the men's division and bringing teams in for them. They don't have to be signed, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, we gotta give them some competition, and we've been saying that for a while. That's why the Knockouts tag champs, regardless of who they are, they can never really have a comfortable spot on the top 10, because a lot of the times the division around them is so.
That's what I'm saying. They need to bring in some teams from some of these female dominant promotions. Let's get the Coven some reps.
Bring in some teams from Japan, honestly, because
exactly.
Japan's really the only area that's got women's tag teams like that.
Mm-hmm. Or I don't know why they're not working with Thunder Rosa's promotion.
All right. So just to kind of go off what you guys were saying, I've mentioned this and I will keep bringing it up because unfortunately this is a constant thing. They're, unfortunately for the Coven, and it was the same thing for the Death Loss, they are in the same position the Good Brothers were when they were tag team champions. And at the time the Good Brothers were tag team champions, the division hardly existed. There was no tag teams. And it's kind of funny that I feel like things have switched. At that time, we did have knockouts, like an actual knockouts tag team division, but we didn't have a men's tag team division. And now things have changed. Now we have a men's tag team division, but we don't really have a knockouts tag team division. You're going to have to, like Burt was saying, you need to bring in teams. But it's not their fault either. They lost so many teams. They lost the Inspiration. They lost the influence. They lost Vex. They lost 3 tag teams in the span of a few months.
But the thing is that they've never really they've never really had like the division going, like they've pieced it together and it was better than it was now, but they've never really like had like a full division with like what we're seeing with like taking shape with the men's right now. If you look at the men's division right now, you've got Heath and Rhino, Champagne Singh and Shira. You've obviously got the Guns. You've got Ace and Bay. You're seeing TMDK with Shane Hayes and Batu Tito seem like they're going to be around.
The design,
that's 6 teams. Like,
you can easily throw in Zicky Dice and Johnny Swinger if you just need a team of cats to beat up.
Like you've got your main event teams, and then you've got like basically your Heath and Rhinos, like that mid-card tag team who you're going to see your tag team champions face, so you don't burn out the number 1 contender. Like the men's
Don't
division,
forget the good hands.
Yeah, the men's division is sneaky good. That's 7 teams. So they need to quietly start doing that with the women, because they need to actually, they just need to go sign some talent and start maybe making their own teams.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. The Knockouts tag team division is just there. It's just hanging on by a thread, if you ask me. All right. At number 8, Last Rites PCO, finally burying Eddie Edwards. What do you think of PCO and at being number 8? Me personally, I feel like PCO had a lot of well, maybe not a lot of momentum, but he certainly had the crowd behind him. They were chanting for PCO. So, but I'm very curious to see where PCO goes from here. I mean, I think this means that his feud with Eddie Edwards is over. And so where does PCO go from here?
I had a thought. Maybe he's wanting to finally maybe he's wanting to rise the ranks a little bit, work on his power rankings stat sheet, and maybe go after number 3 X Division champion Trey Miguel. They do have some unfinished business. So who knows? Maybe, maybe he's eyeing some gold next.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, for me, yeah. And real quick, shout out to, I know Eddie did lose, but I think Eddie, there's going to be big things on the horizon for Eddie and Alicia. It's like a heel duo. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Lucha. I think PCO and Trey would be, I think, the next feud for Trey. I think that should totally be the next match. So, and yeah, as far as PCO's spot this week, well deserved. Again, that was a very fun match. There was just a lot of fun matches last night. I think that card just ruled top to bottom. So yeah, PCO well deserved this week, number 8.
And speaking of Trey Miguel, he came in at number 3, defeating not only Speedball Mike Bailey, but Jonathan Gresham. So he single-handedly eliminated both guys. He didn't, Speedball didn't eliminate Gresham. Trey Miguel eliminated Gresham. And then Trey Miguel pinned Speedball Mike Bailey to retain his title.
And that's what made my my top 3 difficult, which ended up being basically a top 4, because I had Trey Miguel at number 2 because that man did dominate that elimination match. That's a strong ass performance. So then that kind of pushed the performance of Maclin and Deanna up a little bit more, to the point to where I couldn't have one of them 1 or 2, because Trey Miguel had the perfect number 2 type performance, if that made any sense. Like, he had a performance that, should be number 2 worthy, but I couldn't. Shit's crazy. But I need him to get back to number 1.
When Trey turned heel, that was almost like he became an ascended Super Saiyan. Not quite Super Saiyan 2, but an ascended Super Saiyan. Last night's win, I'm putting him at Super Saiyan 2 now. Trey's just, I personally think he's the best thing going in the company right now. I think he's putting it all together. So number 3 is fine with me, just because the people who are ahead of him, they really do deserve that spot. So no lower for Trey. 3's perfect.
Yeah, I cannot disagree. Like, one hell of a performance. And Bert, as you always talking about, Trey Miguel worked smarter, not harder during this match by grabbing a handful of tights for Speedball Mike Bailey.
And speaking of that, just that phrase, our new world champion alluded to that same thing going into his match with Kushida about why he tapped out, basically. You know, you don't need to be taking L's in meaningless matches, going out there and injuring yourself.
That's true. So, number 4, the tag team, still our tag team champions. It's a 1, 2, 3, and 2 sweet. Chris Bay and Ace Austin successfully retained in their first ever tag team Ultimate X match against the Motor City Machine Guns. Incredible match. Hell of a way to start off Rebellion, if you ask me. And I feel, to kind of what Bert was saying about Trey Miguel, I feel like the top 3 would have been really hard. And I feel like Trey Miguel just did a little bit more to inch at number 3 than the 8 Chris Bay and Ace Austin.
I have nothing else to add. You kind of hit the nail right on the head with that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ace and Bay, it's not their fault, but they couldn't do any more. You know what I mean? The other people just did that much more. So it's like, it's not their fault. But number 4, yeah. And the ending to that match was very fun with Bay trying to get both titles down and Saban, trying to pull him down. So that was a really fun match. My second favorite match of the show, with first being the triple threat with Bailey, Gresham, and Speedball. With Trey.
Yeah. I feel like if Speedball would have been the one to eliminate Jonathan Gresham and not Trey Miguel, then I think you can make an argument for Bullet Club and Trey Miguel to switch spots a little bit, But because Trey Miguel just dominated that match, there was just no way you could realistically put Chris Bay and Ace Austin ahead of Trey Miguel. And then, like Bert said, it's not their fault. It's just that Trey Miguel just did a little bit more than Chris Bay and Ace Austin. All right. Number 2, our new Knockouts world champion, the Vuchosa, Diana Perazzo. Long may she reign. She's now a 3-time
fucking reign
Knockouts champion. Incredible match. She main evented, against Jordan Grace. But I have to say, it's quite sad that the only reason that she is in this spot is because Mickie James was unable to compete. Because had things gone the way they would have, maybe this would have been Jordan Grace. Or maybe this would have been Mickie James. Not to take anything away from Deonna Purrazzo, because I like Deonna Purrazzo, but I'm just saying, like, if things had gone according to plan, she probably would not be on the power rankings right now. Well,
if Mickie was healthy, it would have been a triple threat. Deonna was always going to be in the match.
No, because if I remember correctly, the match originally for Multiverse was a fatal 4-way for the knockout title, with Mickie James defending against Deonna, Giselle Shaw.
That girl. Okay, I was just going off when they went into the Thursday before. They're like, if Mickie can compete, it's a triple threat. If she can't, it's I'm just going off the most latest. That's what I'm saying. Maybe not original, but that's what I'm saying. But continue.
So like Mickie James, because I feel like Mickie James would have successfully retained her knockouts title during that Multiverse match, and then here she would have gone on to defend against Jordan Grace. So that spot could have easily belonged to Jordan Grace or to Mickie James had Mickie James not gotten injured. Had the plans originally stayed in place with her defending at Multiverse. So, but Lucha, what do you think?
I think that this is highway robbery at its finest. What was I don't get it. I finally start to buy into the main event bias, and then yet here we are putting Deonna Purrazzo at number 2. What the fuck is this? What is this? Not a fan. And just like you want to pull that, we want to pull that one out, saying that if Mickie was healthy, she wouldn't even been in this situation. Well, I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% confident that if Josh Alexander was healthy, Steve Maclin would not be world champion this day. Yeah, Bert, you can tell your cousin I said it. You can tell your cousin I said it. Call him in here. I'll tell him I said it.
Lucha, it might be my fault that Deanna is not number one because we could have seen a tie because you actually comparing mine and your rankings, I had Maclin, I had Deanna 1, Maclin, hold on, I had Deanna 1, Maclin 2. So maybe you know what I mean. Maybe like a lot of people, and you had them tied, but a lot of people. So not my fault. I mean, but a lot of people I did vote her 2. So maybe if more people would have voted her 1, we would have seen her at 1. So
I bet their point totals were very, very close. Like this had to be like the closest 1 and 2 point totals we've had in quite some time, if not ever.
That's what I'm saying. I think me and you were the only people who put her number 1, I believe. So, but that's because we know how important this division, and we know. And personally, again, like I said, I put her number 1 because not only she became a 3-time champ, I like that match a little bit more. That's just me.
Long may she fucking reign. That's all I have to say.
And for me, I feel like Deanna should have been number 1 because I feel like how can I say this? I feel like her match was slightly unpredictable. Like, I don't think any of us knew if for sure Deanna was going to win. Whereas with Maclin and Kushida, it was kind of like, okay, I think Macklin's winning here, But with Jordan and Deanna, it wasn't like that. There wasn't like, oh yeah, Jordan Grace is definitely winning or Deanna's definitely winning. To me, it was like, I want Deanna to win. Do I think she's winning? Of course I think she's winning. But I wasn't like 100% sure if she was going to win,
The only reason I am okay with Maclin being number 1 is because of that finish. The way that they booked that last minute of that match was awesome. The match was great, don't get me wrong, but that last minute just with him, Kushida continuing to work the arm, and then Maclin having to hit a super, super deep, like brainbuster DDT almost. That was an awesome main event. They did all they could to salvage what should have been, and they made it what, they did what they could and made it great.
And while we're on the topic, of course, you guys haven't figured out by now, our number 1 on the 6 Power Rankings is our new world champion, Burt Maclin's alleged cousin, Steve Maclin. So one hell of a performance for Steve Maclin, but what could have been? This was supposed to be his moment. He was supposed to defeat Josh Alexander in his home country of Canada. He was supposed to be the Stone Cold Josh Alexander's Bret Hart. And I think it was a great match against Kushida. I really wanted to see Steve Maclin versus Josh Alexander, but I don't think the outcome would have been different. I think Steve Maclin was taking Josh Alexander.
Well, what was Scott D'Amore's problem, by the way, not putting the belt on him at the end?
I don't know. Yeah, that's how you treat your new world champion?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get it, but
Maybe the new world champion isn't Canadian, so boo.
There's a chance for so maybe this will play into the rebirth of Coach D'Amore, a heel Team Canada, part deux, as you will. So let's get him back. I like that.
Me and Jeff have only been talking about this since Bound for Glory.
I know you have. I'm saying Maclin being number 1, totally deserved. That's all I was going to say. He's a new world champion. And world champ 1 or 2, again, I would have had Deanna number 1. But that's all I was going to say. What were you going to say?
Okay. I was going to say, what would your guys' reaction had been had Nick Aldis been on this week's Power Rankings, maybe like at number 10 or something, because he didn't get in the ring to confront Steve Maclin at the end. So I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, is he going to make this week's Power Rankings? I mean, he just showed up, did commentary, announced he re-signed with Impact Wrestling, and he's in the ring with Steve Maclin.
Am I conveying how Lucha, what do you want to say?
How close was this to being a reality?
He got 4 points, so not close.
Comedian,
But still, the fact that there were people who voted for him, the rest got 1 point, which I was okay with. They at least got in the ring and mixed it up a little bit. But Nick Aldis just got, he announced that he signed with Impact. Again, if this was just a Thursday Impact show and he made the top 10, fine. But not on a pay-per-view. No, I'm not having it. I would have asked the commissioner of the Power Rankings, Lucha, to be like, can you do something? I don't think this is fair. I would have.
We need a recount.
I would have asked.
So, last thing I gotta ask the wonderful panel here is who's somebody who got omitted that you thought should have made the top 10 here, and to make it a little more spicier, who you taking out to put them in?
See, when you put it that way, it's a lot harder because if I was going to say who got left out, I would, as like a person, I think Mike Bailey got left out, but I'm not taking anyone out for him. So at that stage, I answer my own question. I don't think anybody got left out.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really hard. And you know what surprised me is that hardly anybody that won on the Go Home Show 2 Rebellion is on here.
Yeah,
you know who made their grand return on the Go Home Show? Laredo Kid. And he got a victory over Black Toe Roots of all people. So it's like, he's not even on here.
Tasha Steelz either.
Yeah, Tasha Steelz. And she main evented against Giselle Shaw. And she didn't even make the Power Rankings.
Yeah.
Mickie James, who, she left her hat in the middle of the ring and her title in the middle of the ring, didn't even make it to the Power Rankings.
All I got, and then we're in a point where a lot of we're in a reset, not necessarily for Impact Wrestling, but for the Power Rankings, because you look, Josh's streak got cut tragically short. Mickey's streak got cut short because this is the first time Mickey hasn't been on here since pre-last rodeo. Another historic streak coming to an end here. Jordan Grace hanging on by a thread. So I think after that, there's no like double-digit streaks.
Well, that's why if you notice, like when all that happened, that's why the Power Rankings suddenly got spray painted green, because it's Trey Miguel's top 10 now. I don't see him being out of it, obviously, till he loses the title. And even then, I think Trey is going to be that next one that you see. He's that next guy.
But what if he loses?
Again, it's not like he's going to be dipping down in the card. They'll immediately put him in either the digital media scene or the main event scene. He's ready.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm really happy they included Trey Miguel on the pay-per-view. I would have felt some type of way if they did it.
Of course, they have to include him.
Alrighty, well, that's it for this week's show. We covered everything, the top 10. Is there any last comments you guys want to say before we get ready to sign off?
Well, you saw those shows that they Impact announced. I would just say make sure you're watching, because they're constantly just giving you reasons to watch every week. They're constantly like on the road to the next show, so you always have to pay attention.
Yeah, people gotta stop sleeping on Impact Wrestling.
Last thing I really gotta say is I'll be in Atlanta.
Oh yeah?
For Summer Sizzler. So, if anybody's there, come holler. And like Burt said, support the show, watch it, support us, support any Impact podcasters out there who's just trying to put, and with whatever perspective they have, they want what we want, which is better for Impact and for Impact to continue to thrive. So make sure everybody, let's support the extended family of Impact Media out there.
And make sure you don't give up on Johnny Swinger. He's gonna get that 50th victory eventually.
Eventually.
Like, just don't give up. He's still in his prime.
Okay.
I mean, he's still got the upside of his career still. So I'm just saying, don't give up on the young man.
Where's the narrator for SpongeBob when you need him to say eventually?
A few years later,
Johnny Swinger finally got his first victory. All right.
Johnny Swinger will get his 20th win in 2025.
Imagine. All he needs is one.
Uh-huh.
All he needs is one. All right, well, that's it for today's show. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And it's very important you turn on your notifications so that you get notified not only when this video drops, but for any new content that TNAIW releases on all platforms: Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, you name it. Make sure you have notifications. MySpace, yeah, even MySpace. We're on MySpace.
Hell yeah, myspace.com/TNAIW channel.
Exactly. So it's extremely important you have those notifications turned on. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.